indicating 14% upside premium from the closing price. We are your multi-diversity team representing our analysis for Jetta. Jetta was established in 1996 and in 2003 became publicly listed in Amman Stock Exchange with a market cap of 545.6 billion. Jetta is the only major listed Jordan company in Amman Stock Exchange. The company is a subsidiary of Orange SA, a global industrial leader with a market value of 13.9 billion. Jetta benefited from Orange SA, a research and development expert, strategic support, enabling us to maintain competitive edge. Regarding to Jetta's subsidiary, the company has 6 subsidiaries that follow owned by it. The major shareholders in Jetta, with 51%, is the Joint Investment Telecommunication, representing France Telecom. Jetta is a dividends play stock with an average dividends payout ratio of 93% and dividends yield of 7.3%.
The global telecom market is valued at $3.1 trillion in 2024, driven by mobile and fixed line communications, with 5G, Internet of Things, and cloud computing further boosting growth. Economic growth and digital transformation act as the catalyst for the industry expansion. As shown in the slide, in Jordan, the telecom market is well developed with a mobile coverage of 95% and an internet penetration of 91%, contributing 8.5% to GDP. Projections shown reflect a rise in 5G adoption, strengthening connectivity, with mobile connections growing in Jordan, reaching 9.1 million in 2024. The demand is also derived by health and education sectors relying increasingly on telecom advancements. The industry's future is structured by urbanization, population growth, and evolving digital services.
When we look to the Jordanian telecommunication industry, we notice that it's an oligopolistic market consisting of Zain, Orange, and Umnium. As we can see in the chart, their market share is very quite close, and they offer similar services, but at comparable prices. While Orange has a 31% market share, along with 4.1 million users, placing it in the second place among its competitors in the market. These 3 companies have a widespread presence across the kingdom, creating various branches, but Orange has the highest number of branches across the kingdom, with 300 branches and 1. This expansion provides more accessible and speed services. With the highest prices among its competitors, Jetta will provide the highest quality of services, including the fastest fiber optic in the kingdom and the region in 2023. Jetta holds 90% of market share in the fixed line services and also owns the largest number of connection towers, giving it an edge over competitors. This advantage reflected in the lowest infrastructure cost among its competitors in the market and also accounts for 40% of Jetta's revenue.
We project Jetta revenue to grow at 3.1% CAGR in the next 5 years. This growth is driven by revenues affect the growth in population, the market share of services, and the government announcement. As we see, Jetta is able to manage their costs effectively and drive their sales without the concerns about lowering margins. We project a 65% stable gross profit of a 65% and a stable net profit margin of 17% at the end of our forecasted years. Jetta has a tracking record in distributing dividends with an average payout ratio of 93% yearly. We expect Jetta to show a higher earning per share, reaching 0.4 JDs per share at the end of our forecasted year. Our projected dividends in 2024 were 41.8 million JDs, while the actual amount disclosed was 41.2 million JDs, reflecting the accuracy of our analysis. Based on 2024 analysis, a lot of Jetta current expenditure are ending soon. The existing branch loans, not including the French government loan, will be paid off by 2024, which will lower the interest costs. Since Jetta depends on debt to finance its operation, it can take out a new bank loans to finance and support its future investments. It's important to pay attention that total liability of Jetta increased over the last 5 years, such as Trade by telecommunication lines to private and banks to telecom operator. Jettle should take out a new bank loans to cover this debt and to continue paying dividends. What about valuation?
How we can recognize and embrace opportunity while others ignore them. Our valuation of Jettle entirely based on three methodology to reach our target price of 3.37 JDs. Different weighted were assigned to each method. 50% for DCF mainly reflected the firm intrinsic value, valuing the company using an expected WACC of 12.8%, give a target price of 3.39 JDs. Keeping in mind, dividends have a generous dividends policy. For that, our team gives 30% to DCF analysis, maintaining an average dividend payout ratio of 93%, which is in line with the historical average. These models give a target price of 3.08 JDs. To support our analysis, we carry out a relative valuation with 20% to get an additional insight from the market, as driven by lack of peers in this industry. Jettle is the only major listed company in Jordan. Our basis multiple being EV to EBITDA with 80% and B2E with 20%, give a target price of 3.76%. Now Omar will introduce the ESG.
Orange Jordan is a leader in sustainability, with a great sustainability record. The company sourced 52% of the electricity from solar farms, cutting nearly 150,000 tons of CO2 since 2018, and data centers achieved a reduction of 65%. Nevertheless, supplier sustainability reporting is not yet mandatory, limiting environmental transparency. And on the focus of digital inclusion, Orange Jordan has trained over 20,000 people, 67% of whom are women, and supported 112 startups, renowned for gender equality and workplace safety. That said, cybersecurity transparency and rural infrastructure investments need more attention, and Orange Jordan ensures 96% compliance with corporate governance laws in Jordan and records 0 corruption cases, and is renowned for having multiple certifications regarding governance and security. Based on the MSCI methodology, we gave Orange Jordan an ESG score of 86.7%, placing it in the AAA category. But how does it come? Throughout our analysis, we have identified the 3 main risks facing Orange, which include credit risk, geopolitical risks, and disruptive innovations. Current liabilities exceeding current assets raises concerns for Orange, with a 1.58 debt-to-equity ratio. Orange mitigation strategies include the repayment of debt before maturity, shortening the average payment period, and benefiting from the opportunity cost of investing at a higher present value, which further lowers costs. Geopolitical risks affect Orange by operating in a region of political instability, including recent tensions in neighboring countries. This discourages foreign investments and raises the degree of supply chain disruptions by increasing import costs, with Orange relying partially on external suppliers.
And just when you think you mapped out all the important risks, a new, more existential threat appears. A silent, relentless invasion is taking shape. Starlink. Starlink is set to enter the Jordanian market in 2025, bringing with it a disruptive force not to be reckoned with. With its fast internet, low latency, and the minimal need for infrastructure, and eliminating geopolitical risk, Orange Jordan must take measures to counter this threat. And as you can see with the stock price of Orange Jordan in 2012, it took a hit with the launch of disruptive innovations such as WhatsApp and video call technology. Judges, audience, thank you for listening. We are ready for your questions.
سامحوني على الطلب مش حلو، بس هاي قواعد المسابقة. الجامعات اللي لسه ما قدمت لي، كل الجامعات المتبقية لو سمحتوا الطلاب والاندستري منتورز والاكاديميك ادفايزرز يتفضلوا برا، اسفين على هذا الطلب، بس هاي هي رولز تبعت المسابقة، لأنه الجادجز لهم الحق يقرروا الأسئلة، فلازم ما يكون في أي حدا ممثل من الجامعة عم بحضر الكيو اند اي سيشن. فشكرا لكم جميعا واسفين وشكرا لكم.
are the growth drivers, if there are any growth drivers other than the ones that you mentioned regarding the reduction in cost, what other growth drivers can help Jordan Telecom achieve that 3% CAGR, 3.12 CAGR over the next 5 years, especially with the competition that's existing in the market and the distribution of market share that you share with us?
Thank you for the question. The global telecom market is derived by health sector, increasingly relying on telecom advancements, along with the education sector, increasingly relying on remote educational services, along with the 5G adoption, with the demand increased by the population growth, further boosting the growth.
I would add a point that economic growth also and urbanization and population growth that affect the customer in Jordan, and in Orange especially.
Thank you. Evaluation. I've seen that you've done 3 types of evaluations, which is very good. If you can tell us more about which one do you think is more centric to the company itself, so when you use all these 3, tell us more about the process and what you thought it makes more sense for you.
Thank you for your question. I will happy to answer this question. First of all, in our analysis, we give 50% to DCF. It's the high rated for it, as it's reflected the intrinsic value of the company and value all the company, the future cash flow of the firm, and it's taken into consideration the business practice and the business performance rather than the market. For that, we gave the high weighted to DCF. But as I mentioned in the valuation models, we give only 30% for DCF. As Jetel have a high dividend payout ratio of 93%, which is aligned with the historical average. But these models is not taking into consideration any of the leverage or the business or any structure or the company structures. For the multiple, we only give 20% is the lowest weighted, as it's only reflected the market of our company. It's only focusing on the market rather than the company. For that, we give this is weighted for all of these valuation.
Thank you for presentation. My question is with regard to the interest expenses that one of the slides, has illustrated. What is the? Could you elaborate on the drivers between the reduction of the interest expenses over years, over the past 5 years, from 2019?
Okay, first of all, in our analysis, we made the loan amortizations. The companies have 5 loans from different banks and from the French government. 4 of these banks will finish in 2024. For that, the interest will be decreases because of that, as 4 of it will be finished, and still the loans of the government, and still by only 1% interest rate. For that, this will be lower the interest rate in the, but the company will taking a new debt for financing a new project.
Can you go back to the cost of equity and cost of debt sheet, please, for the weighted average cost of capital calculation? How did you arrive at the cost of equity of 16%?
Throughout our analysis, we have calculated the cost of equity through the CAPA model, relying on the differential risk approach, which takes into consideration the adjusted beta, along with the US risk-free rate and the adjusted risk-free rate.
What was the data that you used?
We used the adjusted beta from Bloomberg's website, as it accounts for country risk premium, including liquidity risks and default risks, making the valuation more realistic.
I was asking about the figure, the data. Was it 1, 1.5, 2, 3?
Actually, it was 0.9.
You based your analysis على risk fees and حكيت على US و you adjusted for بالنسبة based أو equity risk premium, what do you use?
I will answer this question along with my colleague Shed. Throughout our beta analysis, we have adjusted it by using the Bloomberg's website, as it considers larger data set along with the industry initiatives. using it to calculate our beta in Jordan over the spread of the USA.
If you ask about the risk premium, we reflected by taking into consideration all the risks that facing the company, exactly of the Starlink risk and the working capital and the geopolitical risk.
Maybe I have the same question. How did you reach the risk premium of 4%? I mean, what is the equation?
Okay. First of all, we take into consideration that Starlink will be adopted in the 2025, and we make a percentage of 2%, as that happened in the last years, the same as WhatsApp. We give it as the same percentage for these risks as the WhatsApp risk that will happen in the last years. And for the working capital, we get the completed for the risk premium for 4% to get the accurate calculations for our WACC.
One more question on the WACC. I'm sorry to be stuck on this slide. For your split of equity and debt, 3961, the 61 represents the loans that JTEL have, or does it represent total liabilities of the company?
Represent all the liabilities of the company.
So interest bearing and non-interest bearing.
Yeah.
And in the calculation of 4.24, you took that into account.
Yeah.
So what do you think the WACC of 12.8 or the cost of equity of 16, what does it represent? Like, what do you think about it? What does it tell you about the company?
It's a good calculation, as JTEL is dependent on debt. For that, the weighted average cost of equity is represented all the debt and all the it represents all the debt. As JTEL is dependent on capital structure than equity, but I think it will be good for our JTEL company.
My question is about the FCFF. What does that mean for the company?
Okay. Future cash flow to the firm, it reflected the cash flow that's available for the equity holders and debt holders. For that we use as is you reflect all the cash flow, but we don't use the second approach as the free cash flow to equity, as we only don't need to reflect the cash available for the equity holders.
My last question would be, given that there is a very high percentage of dividend payout for JTEL and the stability of their earnings throughout the past years, why didn't you give more weight to the dividend discount model, given that this is a company that basically distributes most of its net income, and that's the main attractive point for an investor looking at the stock, rather than the potential of double-digit growth over the next years?
Giving the dividend discount model a higher weight would de-emphasize the need for reinvestment and the cost volatility for the company.
And I will add a point, as we need to reflect the intrinsic value of the firm rather than the dividends, because it will be reflected only the things that is important for the shareholders. We need to reflect the thing that is important for all the company, including the stakeholders, debt holders, shareholders. For that, we give 50% for DCF because it's the most important valuation methodologies, in our opinion.
Okay, my next question is about the risk key drivers. I mean, what about the AI? Have you tested the AI, the risk of AI on the company?
We have included the disruptive innovations effect on Orange, which includes Starlink acquisition 20% of coverage in rural areas where industrial companies operate. So our reflection for this risk was reflected in the risk premium.